Thank you very much for your introduction. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Guo from Taiwan. And it's my honor to be here to discuss my topic. Especially this is my first time in India. And especially this big city, Mumbai. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude, sincere gratitude to Professor Guo and Professor Guo made a recommendation to the conference committee. And also, I would like to thank the conference committee for their attention and this great opportunity to talk about my topic, functional. Many people in India know this famous movie, Life of Pi. And this movie was directed by a Taiwanese director, An Lee. And you can see these famous movie stars in the photo, including Surashama, Tabu, and Arifan Khan. I love this movie not only because the story is fantastic, but also because this movie enhances the friendship between India and Taiwan. Polystoma has been known for more than 3 centuries, and it is broadly divided into 2 types, including congenital form and acquired polystoma. And today, I will focus on acquired polystoma. Until now, there has been 4 major theories that have been proposed to explain the pathogenesis of acquired polystoma, including the retraction pocket and the progression theory through eardrum perforation, the squamous hyperplasia theory, and the basal cell hyperplasia theory. And in polystoma surgery, there are some special considerations for children. One of them is that pediatric polystoma is more aggressive in nature than adult form. One of the reasons is because the well-immobilized temporal bone in children provides adequate space for disease spreading. And the other reason is that the mature development of the E2 has been found to be associated with the increased recidivism rate, which is 2 to 10 times higher than that of the adults. So pediatric children with polystoma are more likely to have revision surgery than adults. And because of this post-operative instability, pediatric polystoma is more likely to have the unpredictable outcome and profound adverse effects on language development, learning performance, as well as the academic comprehension. So we believe that pediatric polystoma deserves more attention for surgeons. Now I would like to talk about the surgery of polystoma and debate of surgery choice. As mentioned before, polystoma has been known for more than 30 centuries, but the primary treatment mode remains surgery. And the major goals of surgery including disease eradication, infection control, as well as the prevention of recidivism. In other words, we try to maintain a dry and safe ear. And of course, if possible, hearing restoration can be considered. And in polystoma surgery, there are 2 major surgical techniques, including canal up osteoidectomy and canal down osteoidectomy. In canal up osteoidectomy, surgeons remove all of the mastoid air cells while maintaining the ear canal or the posterior canal wall. And in canal wall down, surgeons remove the bony posterior canal wall to create a common cavity combining the ear canal and mastoid. This table just demonstrates the pros and cons of canal up and the canal wall techniques. Obviously, there are so many differences between these 2 techniques. So it's not difficult to imagine why there has been a continued debate over canal wall up and canal wall down in the past 50 years. Canal wall up technique has been criticized to have high recurrence rate, as high as 71% reported in literature, and to have the need for second look. And canal wall down technique has been criticized to have poor outcome and cavity problems after surgery. This is the cavity problem in canal wall down technique. For this patient, frequent oral toilet is necessary during their lifelong follow-up period. So because there are many post-operative surgical challenges, there is a need for an alternative surgical approach. So I would like to share our experience on TTCR for you. And this is Professor Len, who was the director of the department, and as well as the vice president in our hospital. And Professor Len developed TTCR in 1986. And from then on, TTCR has been used in our hospital for almost 30 years. TT means tailor-made melanocytectomy, and CR means cartilage reconstruction. With tailor-made melanocytectomy, we trace the cholestoma to its end. In other words, cholestoma leads you. You don't have to remove all of the muscular cells, as seen in the clinical walk-up and clinical down technique. Specifically speaking, we preserve as much as non-involved structures. This concept is similar to that of FACE, functional endoscopic sinus surgery. And actually, to some extent, middle ear cavity is an extended sinus in the sinus system. So as with FACE, we try our best to preserve as much as the non-involved structures. And after tailor-made melanocytectomy, we perform cartilage reconstruction. That is, we use the cartilage to obliterate the tailor-made cavity to establish a canal wall up-like condition. And this cavity support is very useful and very important to prevent formation of the subsequent cavities and subsequent retraction recurrence. So the main goal of the TTCR is to solve the problem, canal wall down-derived cavity problems, and high rates of canal wall up-derived recidivity, as mentioned before, as high as 71% reported in the literature. So this is the atlas of our TTCR, and we're very lucky that our atlas was selected as the cover picture in the prestigious journal Audiology and Neurology. Recently, we have found more and more newly proposed surgical technique for cholestoma have applied this concept of TTCR. In particular, for transcranial endoscopic ear surgery, TEES also adopts a strategy of tailor-made musculectomy. That is the retrograde step-by-step pursuit of the cholestoma set. But TTCR has no technical limitation of TEES, such as the one-handed surgery, inability to provide continuous irrigation or suction, and difficulty in extensive mastoid cholestoma, especially the third point. So now I would like to explain the details of the surgical technique of TTCR step by step. In TTCR, we prefer end-over incision to approach the ear canal and middle ear for some reasons. And the most important reason is that compared with retroauricular approach, end-over incision allows for more direct and better use into ear canal, active, posterior tympanum, and sinus tympanum. For example, for a patient with adicholestoma, all you have to do is a tailor-made adicotomy. You don't have to remove all of the air cells just in order to get access to the attic. And of course, there are some other minor reasons why we use an end-over incision this year. With end-over incision, as you can see, the scar is not obvious. And after end-over incision, we perform the canaloplasty for widening of ear canal to enhance access for the surgery. And in particular, besides widening of the ear canal can facilitate post-operative oral toilet and detection of recidivity. As you can see in this picture, with widening of ear canal, it's very easier for otologists to clean the ear canal and detect any potential recidivism, including residual or recurrent diseases after surgery. And after canaloplasty, the ear canal is drilled in a retrograde manner, just like this. And with the retrograde manner, we track the corystoma to its end. As you can see in this figure, the extent of tympanомастодectomy is individualized according to the size of corystoma. And in certain circumstances, we may remove the medius head and incus for complete inspection of the disease before the drilling goes forward to the end of the mastoid. And next, we harvest the tracheal cartilage or tongal cartilage, and we use the cartilage to obliterate the tailor-made cavity to create a canal wall-like condition. And this cavity support is very useful to prevent retraction pocket and subsequent retraction recurrence. And this is a case of, with the anti-cartilage reconstruction. And this is another case with anti-cartilage reconstruction. This is a case with apical-antral reconstruction. And this is the case with the apical-antral mastoid cartilage reconstruction. In TTCR, we use the auto-incus for osteoplasty. And finally, the ear canal is packed with antibiotic gel foam. And of course, in the end, the mastoid bandage is necessary to prevent post-operative wound bleeding. In our series, the patients were divided into 3 groups. Group A, apical-corystoma. Group B, apical-antral corystoma. And Group C, apical-antral mastoid corystoma. I will show you Group A cases. This is a 7-year-old boy with apical corystoma here. And we perform apicotomy with cartilage reconstruction as well as type 1 tympanoplasty. And you can see this is 7 years after surgery. The cartilage in the attic is well preserved. And there was no eardrum retraction, no disease recurrence. And the ossification is intact and very good aeration of the middle ear cavity. And the hearing is very good in the low and middle frequencies. And this is a 16-year-old male with apical-corystoma. And we perform apicotomy with cartilage reconstruction as well as the type 3 tympanoplasty. And this is 23 years after surgery. As you can see, the cartilage is well preserved in the attic, and no eardrum retraction, no disease recurrence. A very good aeration of middle ear, and here is very good as well. Now I will show you the Group B cases. This is a 9-year-old girl with apical-antral corystoma. And we perform apical-antrectomy with cartilage reconstruction. And this is 11 years after surgery. You can see the well-maintained cartilage here, here, and here. And the eardrum is in good position, no disease recurrence, and good aeration. Numerous air cells with good aeration. And middle ear aeration is good as well. And this is the 12-year-old boy with corystoma extending to the antrum. And we perform the type 3 tympanoplasty. You can see this is the 21 years after surgery. This is the cartilage for the cavity obliteration and support. And there is no retraction of eardrum, no disease recurrence. This is the cartilage and good aeration of middle ear. And the hearing is not too bad. Now I will show you the Group C cases. This is a 3-year-old boy with apical-antral mastoid corystoma. And we perform apical-antral mastodectomy with cartilage reconstruction and the modified type 3 tympanoplasty. And you can see this is 12 years after surgery. The cartilage is well maintained, and eardrum is in good position, no disease recurrence. But we have to say, in some advanced cases, there may be insufficient cartilage in children for cavity support. But you can see the cavity size can be reduced. And with the reduction of the cavity, it's very useful for otologists to clean the post-operative cavity problem. And on the other hand, we have to say that the hearing may not be as good as expected, even with osteoplasty in advanced cases. And this is another case, 5-year-old boy with corystoma extending to the mastoid. And we use the cartilage for obliteration. You can see this is 4 years and 16 years after surgery, and the cartilage here is well preserved in the attic and not dislocated in the attic. And there is no eardrum retraction, no disease recurrence, 16 years after surgery. Now, I want to talk about the stability of cartilage obliteration. In TTCR, we prefer to use the cartilage for heavy support, but someone may be worried about the stability of cartilage obliteration. For example, they may be curious if the cartilage will become smaller due to resorption after years of the obliteration. So we performed a microscopic examination of the cartilage, 10 years, 22 years, and 16 years of obliteration. And microscopic examination reveals that a decrease in the number and shrinkage of chondrocytes, fragmentation of the nuclear, and degeneration of matrix of the cartilage. As you can see, this is the shrinkage of chondrocytes compared with the normal chondrocytes. These two is the same patient, the same patient. So this is normal. So based on our long-term experience, cartilage can be considered as a good material for cavity obliteration and support. Until now, I have shown you the details of surgical technique of TTCR, and next I will show you our research of TTCR for pediatric cholestoma. This is our first research, which has been published in Laryngoscope. And in pediatric cholestoma surgery, a challenging issue is that the follow-up period. And there was no consensus on this issue. That is, how long is long enough to follow up children after cholestoma surgery? And based on our long-term 15-year-old follow-up study, recidivism was observed as late as 18 years after surgery. So we recommend that children should be followed up for as long as possible, or at least until they reach adulthood to detect the potential recidivism. Because when they reach adulthood, the responsibility shifts to themselves instead of the parents. And besides, the recidivism rate in our series were not very high, about 9% to 14%, according to what method, what's the disease method used to count the recidivism rate. So routine second look is not necessary for children with TTCR. In other words, one stage TTCR is a practical and feasible option for children with cholestoma. This is our second research, which is published in the Journal of Oration and Rheumatology. And in cholestoma surgery, surgeon's priority is usually the complete eradication of disease. But parents' expectation may be correction of hearing impairment. Because they may worry about that the hearing impairment may affect children's learning, language learning, or academic achievement. So you see, that's a great conflict. And there was clearly information on long-term hearing outcome. So our 14-year-long study is valuable to provide this information. And you can see our long-term follow-up evidence shows that long-term hearing preservation can be expected in children without jeopardizing the sensory hearing, in particular in children with modified type 3 and 4 tympanic capacity. But it is notable that the percentage of ears with serviceable hearing, that is less than 30 decibel, is only about 41%, which may not as good as parents' expectation. And multivariate logistic regression analysis further shows that the children without stapes destruction are more likely to have a serviceable hearing at a mean follow-up of 40 years. And this is our third research, which has been published in audiology and rheumatology as well. And in the past, obliteration in this kind of subperiodic cholestoma surgery, subperiodic cholestoma ears, is a challenge in terms of the long-term safety. In particular, pediatric cholestoma has a more aggressive growth pattern and a high recidivism rate than adults. So our long-term follow-up, 12 years, shows that the cumulative rate of recidivism were comparable between both groups. That is, cartilage obliteration group and without cartilage obliteration group. And the result is the same, remain the same, even we only count the residual cases. And further multivariate analysis shows that cartilage obliteration was not a negative predictor of recidivism. So the conclusion in the study is that cartilage obliteration in subperineal choristoma ear is safe in children. Now I want to talk about our recent research on lateral antichoristoma with intact ossicular chain. I would like to report our long-term outcome of limited anticotomy with ossicular chain preservation. This is a form of PPCR. And our research has won the SPEAR Award in Tokyo 2 weeks ago. And SPEAR is the Society for Promotion of International Otolaryngology. This is a very important society in Japan. As you know, choristoma used to be identified at a later stage. And a huge choristoma was likely to cause severe consequences because advances in technology have enabled early diagnosis of disease. So in our experience, actually more and more cases have been found to be small and limited in lateral active. You can even find the middle ear is good, normal, and the ossicular chain is well preserved. So we want to talk about this issue with respect to this more common and small choristoma. In this regard, we believe all we have to do is limited anticotomy. You don't have to involve the ossicular chain. But somebody may be worried about the residual or recurrent diseases. So we want to report our long-term results of this technique. In the study, the first inclusion criteria is a lateral active choristoma, including type A, B, and C. If the disease was involved with the medial active, the case was not included for analysis. And the other two inclusion criteria is the intact ossicular chain and normal middle ear mucosa. And we just performed one stage, limited anticotomy. And the whole procedure has nothing to do with the ossicular chain manipulation. In the end, we performed the cartilage obliteration for cavity support. Of the 26 eligible cases, 22 were included. And more than half of our patients had a follow-up period of 10 years or more. In the study, we found no eardrum retraction and no disease recidivism. But we found eardrum perforation was observed in 2 years, and this is one of the 2 cases. This case was followed up 15 years after surgery. As you can see, there is a small perforation in the eardrum, but CT scan showed no evidence of recurrence. Now I want to show you some cases. This patient had a retraction pocket in the attic. A lateral antichoristoma was evidenced by CT scan. So we just performed limited anticotomy with cartilage reconstruction. And this is 2 years after surgery. You can see the well-maintained cartilage, no eardrum retraction, no disease recurrence, and the middle ear aeration is good. This is cartilage referred to. And this here is not too bad 2 years after surgery. In this case, there seems to be something wrong with attic. And we performed a CT scan, and CT scan demonstrated that the lateral antichoristoma. So we also performed the surgery. And this is 7 years after surgery. You can see this is cartilage for cavity support. It is well preserved and not dislocated. And the eardrum is good, no retraction, no disease recurrence. And this is cartilage. Middle ear aeration is good, and hearing is not too bad 7 years after surgery. This case is the follow-up 30 years after surgery. This is a cartilage in the attic. The eardrum is good. This is the cartilage. The ossicular chain is good. And there are numerous air cells with good aeration. And here is very good. There was no airborne gap 30 years after surgery. And this is a case followed 19 years after surgery. This is a cartilage obliterate in the attic and well preserved. No eardrum retraction and middle ear aeration is good. And there was no airborne gap 19 years after surgery. This is a case followed 21 years. You can see the pieces of cartilage obliterated in the attic and well preserved, not dislocation, and eardrum is in good position. No disease recurrence. This is a cartilage. And middle ear aeration is very good. Hearing is good. No airborne gap 21 years after surgery. So for patients with cholestoma, limited in lateral attic, if you find the middle ear is good or normal and the occipital chain is well preserved, our evidence supports that limited adicotomy with occipital chain preservation is an effective and feasible option for children or adults. So this is my today's conclusion. TTCR is a recommended way to treat cholestoma. All we have to do is remove the cholestoma from the ear canal in a retrograde manner and to preserve the as much as the non-involved structures and to reconstruct the defect with cartilage. One point I have to emphasize here is that we're not telling you TTCR is superior to other surgical techniques, including canal up and canal down. We just share our experience of TTCR with you, and we provide you long-term follow-up results. And personally, I believe the choice of surgical technique is based on surgeon's preference. Here, I would like to express my gratitude to my two tutors. The first one is Professor Len, who was the director of our department as well as the vice president in our hospital. He just retired 1 year ago. And this is Professor Xiang, who is the director of our department now. And I have learned a lot of surgical techniques from these two tutors. In the end, of course, I will show you some beauties of Taiwan. As you can see here is Taiwan, and Taiwan faces the Pacific Ocean. In particular, there are a lot of mountains in the east of Taiwan. If you stand in the mountains, you can see pretty and incredible sunrise. Of course, if you can get up earlier enough. And in Taiwan, we have many night markets where you can taste various delicious food. And in Taiwan, you don't have to worry about hunger 24 hours in Taiwan, because you can enjoy this food very late at night. And Taiwan has many beautiful sceneries, and I believe the beautiful sceneries will be unforgettable for you in your life. And also, we have wonderful tradition. For example, this is Taiwan Lantern Festival. In this festival, people gather to release sky lantern to symbolize the release of their bad luck and misfortune in the last year. And this is Taiwan 101, Taipei 101, which was tallest building between 2004 to 2010. And of course, it is now the second tallest building in Taipei and in the world. Excuse me, in the world, second tallest. So this is my today's speech, and thank you very much for your attention. Again, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Guo and the conference committee for their invitation. Thank you. Welcome to Taiwan.
Any questions, please?
Thank you, Dr. Min, for such a beautiful lecture and showing your beautiful Taiwan city and the food which is very famous at your place. Thank you very much.
Dr. Chu, I have a question. Possible?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic presentation, but I wanted to ask, were there any cases when you went for the cartilage reconstruction and you thought the cholestoma was just quite a bit and you staged it over a period of time, or you did all the cases in one go? That's one. And the second question I wanted to ask is, how is it possible, what is the system you all have in your hospital? How you get a follow-up of patients after 15, 20, 25 years? That's pretty incredible.
Especially for the first person, can you repeat?
Yeah, the first question is the cartilage reconstruction which you mentioned in all the cases you had. You all did it at one go, at one stage.
Yeah, one stage.
One stage. Now, were there some cases in which you tried to do it at one stage, but then you decided to do the reconstruction at a later stage, just remove the cholestoma?
Yeah, I did. All the procedures completed in one stage.
Yes.
Yeah, and as I just showed you, the recurrence rate is not very high. It's about 9 to 40%. So our experience told that it's not necessary to do the second stage. And you can wait and see until the recurrence occurs. That's fine. Because routine second look is not necessary, and patient children will suffer in the surgery. And the second question is that thanks to my professor's active attitude. You see, I had, my professor and me just drove to the patient's house or home to remind them of coming back to the hospital for checkup, checking out the ear canal. So actually, that's tough because the other one important is that my tutors stayed in our training center for 30 years. So that's why we can at least go to the follow-up. It's just for some doctors, maybe they can change different hospitals, and the patient may be lost to follow-up.
Thank you, Dr. Chu. Now